notification comes through on my phone. Oh, there we go. Live streamed. Got it.
All right. We're live streaming. Back again for another exciting Thursday.
Hey.
With our tribe members. Hey, tribe. Sorry, I've been a little MIA lately. I am in the midst of a big move.
With our
And it's
tribe
taken up a lot of.
members. Hey, tribe.
Sorry, that's Gavin.
Lately, I am in the midst.
Is that me?
Yes.
Sorry. I thought I closed my tab down.
That's Gavin. Lately, I am in the midst.
Is that me?
Yes.
Sorry. I thought I closed my tab down.
That's Gavin.
Oh, this is a nightmare.
It's quiet.
I've shut everything down now, I think.
I know, that's what I do.
Brilliant. Sorry about that. Right. We've lost you, Lena. You're muted.
Because you and I know people. We do not know technology, and this is very clear.
Definitely not.
I hope you guys enjoy our bloopers. We should do a blooper roll. Reel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we have enough of them. But yes, hi tribe. Sorry, I have been MIA because life is crazy. It's good crazy, but we're in the midst of a move, and I'm getting ready to move from Virginia to Florida. And so a lot going on there, but it's good stuff. And I promise to check back in more because we had some good threads, especially that one on the songs about human behavior. We had some good ones in there. I don't know if you chimed. You did. You chimed in with some.
Did I?
I think you did.
I must
Right?
have.
Maybe, maybe you did it now. I don't know. I don't know. All right. So give us a minute, guys, before we get set up, because it just turned 6:30. I'm trying to find us live, and because I want to monitor the comments. Let me pop out of here.
Oh, there we go.
You got it?
Yeah, done exactly the same thing.
Oh.
There we go. Brilliant. I can hopefully see the comments myself now as well. We've got, oh, there we go. Hi, Brian. Hi, John.
Hi, Judith. Oh, we got 6 comments already. All right. Let me check
Brilliant.
in.
Great to see you guys. Nice for the support. Thank you. Much appreciated.
All right. Let's see. Hi, John, Brian, Beth, Judith. Our loyal subjects. I love them. Well, you guys
What a
are
great crowd. What a great
tribe
crowd.
members.
They are. They're part of the
Love
tribe.
it. Love it. All right. Well, I got everybody on my phone, so I'm going to monitor comments as we talk along tonight. And tonight, Gavin and I decided to continue that discussion about thought distortions, which I have a very difficult time pronouncing. As before we went live, I really had a problem, so I've been practicing it. We're going to continue that discussion, and we're also going to talk about false information and the misinformation effect. And then if we have time, we'll wrap it up with some change in your language, just some things to be aware of what you say and how you say them. And actually, there's a better way to say them. And I am victim to this. So I tend to say these things that we shouldn't say. And so I'm going to tell you a better way to get your message across. It's very respectful, and it is very effective, and it really helps strengthen rapport. So, and it never will put a person on the defensive, because I don't know if you've noticed, Gab, but there's sometimes I'm just having a normal conversation with you or a colleague or whoever, and what I say is very defensive. And I'm like, what? But I didn't mean to be. How could you take it that way? And so it's just being mindful of the words.
And Parry's joined us as well. So hi, Parry. Good to see you back with us again.
Yay. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. We miss you. Cool. Oh, I'm so happy. All right. Well, Gab, do you want to say anything before we get into it?
No, I tell you what, let's kick straight off with the mental filters. Let's go for it.
Okay.
You want to lead with this one?
There's no small talk. There's no rapport. Gab, take it away. Let's go.
All right then. So mental filters. So this is like kind of ignoring positive information, and we had some kind of samples from what you sent me And I took mine from when I did NLP, and I've put my own kind of examples in place because I'm a nightmare. I prefer to use my own stuff. So so yeah, the kind of mental filters are things like when people say something along the lines of, this is the example I've got here, is I never start projects early enough, except for when you do. And I thought, well, it's the clarity is not brilliant there. So I'm going to give you the Gavin version, which is somebody could turn around and say something along the lines of, I'm not very good at cooking. And you could argue, but you cook for your family every day. And they go, yeah, but I'm just not very good at it. And you say, yeah, you might not be Gordon Ramsay, but you're not bad at it. You're not somebody who can't cook. So, change the perception on it a little bit. And that would neatly segue into discounting the positive as well, where people say, oh, yeah, but those are easy meals. And I've always said that something's only easy to do if you know how to do it. Sewing an open wound is easy for a surgeon, but for somebody who doesn't know how to do it, I'm sure they'd be very nervous and very concerned about doing it. So this is something that discounting the positive is easy to do. So many people do it all the time when they say, that's really easy. It's the same as anything with the questions on a lot of these game shows where they say, oh, they're all easy questions. They're only easy questions if you know the answer.
Oh, I like that. They're only easy questions if you know the answer.
That's it. So I'll go back over to you then. You can give some examples of like kind of mental filters and discounting the positive, and you might have some better ways of explaining it than what my versions were.
Listen, your version was awesome. So it won't be better, maybe a little different, but it definitely won't be better. Mental filters and discounting the positive, I think they just go hand in hand. Now, I've been taught that they're two separate things, and we teach them as two separate things, because that mental filter, I think, could be both, right? It could be a negative and a positive. But and I'd rather talk about having that mental filter where we ignore the positive, because so many times I'm coaching people and I hear what they're doing and they tell me about their accomplishments, but yet they discount them. Or they'll tell me, hey, I have the situation at work and I don't know how to handle it, and this is the conversation I had. And I'm like, that's exactly how you should handle it. I think it was brilliant. And I hear the, yeah, but, and I'm like, well, stop right there, because that is that mental filter. I'm not good enough. I need more techniques. I don't know how to do this, or I don't know exactly what to say. But I'm like, but what you said was perfect. And we are our own worst critic. We know this. And it's good to be tough on yourself, but at some point you have to dethrone your inner critic. And I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Joanna, because that is her program. She wrote a book on it. And it's really all about dethroning that inner critic voice that's constantly telling you you're not good enough, or you could do better, or you failed at that, or somebody's going to get promoted over you. Why would you tell yourself that? Right? We have to be our own biggest advocates and our own biggest cheerleaders before anybody else on the planet, for a couple of reasons. Number one, because we owe it to ourselves, right? And it makes us feel good, and it makes us want to get out of bed every day and do something good. But number two is because when I'm my biggest cheerleader, and not all the time, but most of the times, when I make myself feel good, then people see that and it makes me feel confident in the skin I'm in. And that means I'm confident in how I'm coming across to people, how I'm communicating with people, how I'm leading people, right? And how I'm coaching people, whatever it is, what I'm doing as my industry, my profession, my trade craft. If I have that confidence, that's attractive. And people want to follow confident people. They don't want to be around insecure people. They don't want to listen to insecure people. Definitely don't want to trust insecure people. So be a cheerleader for yourself, because sometimes we just need that. And if you do that and you gain that confidence in your abilities, other people are going to see that. And now they're going to start trusting you more, and they're going to want to follow you. Yes, it's hard to do, because if you're a person who has a very strong inner critic or a very strong mental filter that discounts that positive, then this is going to take a lot of effort. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of thought work, a lot of willpower. I know brilliant life coaches. Allie, if she's watching out there, shout out to you, girl, because she's amazing. And she really helped you work through those filters, because those filters could have been started decades ago. we could be dragging this trauma through our life with us, never realizing it. And all of a sudden, poof, as adults now, we have this mental filter that I'm never good enough. And that is just not right. So we owe it to ourselves to work through that and overcome it. Now, sometimes it can be very heavy and we need that extra work. And sometimes it's just a thought we keep thinking. And as my friend Allie says, a thought we keep thinking becomes a belief. That's all a belief is. And I think I've said this before on our Clubhouse or on our lives, Gavin, is that if we create negative beliefs, they're never going away. Right. And it's just a thought you keep thinking. And if it's that bad and it does you no good, get rid of it. Put it in the trash can. Change your thought. Start thinking something positive. You do not have to tell yourself, I'm the best ever, and, kind of tip over into the narcissist route. We're not asking you to do that, but we're asking you to be patient with yourself, give yourself a break, and maybe give yourself a pat on the shoulder, right? So working towards that mental filter, and of course, discounting the positive. People who are very critical about themselves, maybe a type A personality like myself, we will do something and we may feel okay with it, but we're always nitpicking at it. Well, it could have been better. I could have done this, and at some point, again, give yourself a break. If you did the thing you wanted to do, bravo, right? At least you did it. So give yourself a hand and be grateful for that. So when we have this mental filter that, well, yeah, I finished the project, but it could have been better. And I discount the positive. Yeah, I'm leading a team of 8 people who gave me positive feedback, but I still feel like I can't connect with them, right? Start listening to the words you're thinking and really start analyzing them, because it could just be a very big thought distortion. Gav, over to you.
Yeah.
I just talked a lot.
No, I enjoyed it. I'm loving listening. That mental dialogue that we have, that internal dialogue that's going on, is part of the survival instinct that we've had way back from when we were like kind of cavemen, cavewomen, that kind of thing. And the idea was it was a survival instinct to keep us safe. It was to stop us trying to jump across cliffs or swim across rivers that we might not make it across, and we didn't know our own boundaries. So it was kind of that it's there more as a thought, though, that if you get to the the edge of a river, your brain says to you, you're not going to be able to swim across that, right? It's to save your life. But what you have to understand is now we live in a day and age that we're not getting chased by saber-toothed tigers. We're not going to try and jump across. Well, most of us are going to try and jump across from one cliff to another, or make it across rapid rivers and that kind of thing. So a lot of the time it's obsolete, not completely, because obviously we've still got to stay safe in traffic and that kind of thing. But when it comes down to day-to-day life, that internal dialogue, the majority of the time, there's absolutely no need for it at all. So you just have to listen to it, realize what it is. Realize that it's just a primary function of your brain to keep you alive, and then discount it. Just turn around and say, right, it's kind of keep me alive, but I'm not going to die by doing X. And then that's it. Throw it in the bin, move on. And once you've done that, and obviously it's hard for the brain to cope with that, because it's evolved over the years, and it's still functioning in the way that every perceived danger, even if it's a theoretical one, is still a danger that's going to kill us. So it doesn't understand the danger between the difference between physical danger and what we would see as like a social danger. So I just thought I'd add that in there.
No, I think, so sometimes these can be triggers, right? If X happens, I trigger to that mental filter, then discount the positive automatically. That's my trigger. What if the trigger happens, and sometimes, and if I can't control it, I can't control it. And those you can, but it takes a lot of work. What if after I get triggered, I have something to fall back on to help me stop thinking those thoughts? And what if I tell myself, this is a primal instinct. I'm just thinking this because of survival and it's evolutionary, and it means nothing about me right here, right now in this situation. So toss it away.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's a perfect way. Just can it, move on, and carry on doing what you're doing, and without giving it any more thought. And it's a brilliant way to deal with it. Fantastic coping mechanism. So, and as for what you were saying, just revisiting what you were saying about, like, you might do something and then go, oh, but it could have been better. I suppose it's kind of a mild version of imposter syndrome, where, you know, you look at things and you think, I achieved something. But I'll tell you a little something now. I've recently been working with a presenter for one of the big music channels, and she was talking to me about imposter syndrome, and you wouldn't believe some of the things she's come across in her career. And people, rock stars like mega stars, were getting off the stage and coming backstage, and you know what they were saying to her? Was I good enough? And she was going, are you kidding me? You're Slash. Anything you do could be good enough. You could go out there and sing happy birthday and the crowd would go wild. You know, so you know, this imposter syndrome that people get, everybody gets it. Everybody. So just again, realize that the whole thing is something that is just your brain primarily trying to protect you and keep you in your safe space, your safe area. But you know, you've got to move out of that safe space and safe area if you want to move on. So,
oh, I see. You are. I'm gonna get a book of Gavinisms. Seriously, you come up with the most clever sayings. If you want to get out, if you want to move out.
I can't remember.
Well, it's okay, because I'm recording this.
Yeah,
and
we'll replay it.
Yeah, but I'm going to come up with a book, and I'm going to make it all pretty and mail it to you for Christmas. And it's going to be the Book of Gavinisms. And if anybody out there listening, tribe, if you have something witty that Gavin said, we need to post it, because we're going to collect it. Literally, of the best one-liners ever.
Yeah, we could create a lot of problems here. So
keep it clean.
I'm trying to avoid looking at the comments at this point.
And I just created a new term, Gavinism. It sounds like a piece of machinery.
It does, doesn't it?
It's a Gavin. Yeah. Did you oil the Gavinism?
It needs a new microprocessor.
So, all right, now I just went off. But coming back to our conversation, the other thing I like to do is ask myself, where's the evidence? I just went into a mental filter and I discounted the positive. Where's the evidence? So I'm just telling myself I'm not good enough. I could have done better. How do I know that for a fact? Where's the evidence? Right? And so if there's no evidence there, now think, well, where did that thought come from? Oh, it's a trigger. It's a trigger because it's deep down, it's a survival instinct. I like it.
Wonderful.
All right. So I love this next one that we're going to talk about. And I hate to admit this, but I am a victim of it. And if you ask my husband, he would say, oh yeah, this is her thought distortion. She lives in it. She loves it. And it is called crystal ball gazing. And no, not because I'm a witch, but anyway, although some people may disagree with that. Crystal ball gazing. How many people, and I'm going to look in the comments by raise of hands or a little emoji. How many people can read minds? I should see none. We can't read minds. We cannot predict the future. Maybe some people on this planet can, because they have a gift, but most of us can't. We don't know what the future is going to bring. So crystal ball gazing is that distortion that I can read the future. And if I can read the future, I usually don't put a good spin on it. I can usually predict bad things, right? So this is the thought I would have that would be called crystal ball gazing. You know, my boss has ignored all my emails this week and my phone calls, and I think he's ignoring me for a purpose, and I guarantee next week I'm getting fired. I know it. It's coming. Okay, how do you know that? If we can't read your boss's mind and you can't read your boss's mind, then how can you conclude that story? Where is it coming from? Where's the evidence? We can't read people's mind. We cannot predict the future. So why would our minds automatically go to the worst possible scenario about our future? Here's the thing. And then we start worrying about it. And then we start getting anxious. And then it affects our behaviors and our conversations and our confidence and our competence. And all of a sudden, we're walking into work now with a low morale. All of a sudden, I'm in a bad mood. People don't want to talk to me. And now I'm thinking everybody knows I'm getting fired but me, because everybody's ignoring me. No, it's just because you're in a funk right now and you're not being the normal person you are. So people are giving you your space. But everything that topples on could cause that mental filter, discounting the positive, just from people reacting to how I'm coming in work differently now because I've crystal ball gazed onto a future that I know nothing about. So Gav, I'll let you talk about crystal balls.
Yeah, I actually come across something very similar to this. Not identical, but a while ago, somebody I know who was looking for a particular job in a different area, I sent them a link to a fantastic job being advertised, way better than what they could imagine. And they sent me a thank you, and really brilliant, thank you very much. And I didn't see them for a while. And then when I did bump into them again, I said, "Oh, did you ever apply for that job?" And they went, "No, I thought I probably wouldn't get it." I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me?" I said, "You didn't even try?" They're like, "No, I figured I probably wouldn't get the job, so I never bothered applying for it." And can you imagine if everybody in the world ever thought like that? Nobody would try anything.
No.
We would never achieve anything. There's a saying I heard once. It was something like, "I'd rather aim for the stars and land in a pile of dung than just make my way deliberately to a pile of dung." So, it wasn't actually dung. Was I've PG'd that terminology from a 4-letter word.
There you go. Okay. All right. Oh my gosh. Wow. There's times so I'm in networking. I'm an entrepreneur. I have to market, I have to business, I have to network. So I will get on LinkedIn and find the people I want to talk to and send them a message. I don't stop and think, oh, well, they don't know me. What if I'm not up to their caliber? What if they don't respond? I don't care. How am I going to know what's going to happen if I don't just say, let me contact them. Let me give them a message. And these are high level people, TV producers, because I'm still trying to get my own TV show. And I just, I just send a, "Hey, hi, here I am. Hope you're doing well. This is why I contacted you. Look forward to connecting." You never know what the future brings. So why would I be worried about how they're going to perceive my message? I'm not. I'm just going to do it, because that crystal ball gazing can really affect how we execute a lot of our strategies and anything that is going to help us reach our dreams and our goals. If we crystal ball gaze and it's negative, we're never going to get there.
Yeah, and it's only that internal dialogue again. It's only a mental version of that keeping you safe, keeping you in your safe zone, safety bubble, whatever you want to call it. That is kicking in, doing that. So exactly the same thing. It's just not physical.
Yeah, no, it is. It's keeping us safe, because what if I do send that message to, I don't know, a TV producer on LinkedIn or whatever, and he doesn't respond, and it doesn't respond, or he responds and says, you're not good enough, or I don't waste my time with you, or I only have time to associate with X, Y, and Z, which would never happen. Come on, people aren't generally that mean. And so I think this, and I'm like, oh, that would hurt too much. I just can't deal with that. I could not take if this person said something negative about me. So you know what? I'm just going to avoid it. And then I'm going to save myself that heartache and pain and just not even reach out. But then what if the whole opposite happened, right? I reached out and they're like, "Oh my God, we saw your background. And guess what? We were thinking you'd be great for your own TV show." Bam, I get my own TV show.
Yeah, and you do have the other side of that as well, where you've got this self-sabotage thing occasionally, and this is all about keeping what it is to keep you alive. Your brain likes to keep you in exactly the same place because it knows where you are is safe. It's worked so far because here you are alive, so therefore it doesn't like change. And so anything that is going to be abnormal to your everyday life is perceived as a threat. And your brain is like, no, we don't want that. So it will self-sabotage and give you this internal dialogue to try and stop you from making progress or moving forward, because it doesn't want you to move from where you are. Where you are is safe. It knows it is safe. So again, you've just got to get past that, recognize it for what it is, realize what it is, and go, no, doing this is just going to be equally as safe as being where I am. Bin it, move on with it, and get it done. Stop the procrastination.
So you know that Gav and I are huge fans of talking about these challenges, talking about techniques and skills, but we're also huge fans of giving you ways to overcome them or use them, right? And so we're talking about thought distortions. I have to say it slow. And so far we've talked about 2 really good ways to overcome them. Really 3. Number 1 is notice it. Notice it when it's happening. Oh, I just thought this. I just had a mental filter. I just discounted the positive. I just crystal ball gaze, whatever it is. Number 1, notice it. Number 2 is that ask yourself, where's the evidence? Where is the evidence to back this up? Usually there's not going to be any. And number three, what Gavin said, this is evolutionary, right? This is something that has been ingrained in us and built in us. So does it really pertain to the situation we're in right now? Probably not. If you can do those three things, as soon as you notice you dip into a thought distortion, you're going to be able to quickly overcome it and discount it and stop thinking about it. Now, it's called thought distortions for a reason, because it's the thoughts we're having, and they're distorted by whatever, by evolution, by a trigger, by something that's happened to me in the past, whatever it is, right? By self-sabotaging behaviors. And that's the distortion. That's why we have them. But we can overcome them. Change a thought. Well, that's the easy way. But if we can't automatically get to thinking a new thought and feeling good, then use those three processes that Gavin and I were talking about. Number one, realize it's number one, notice it. Number two, realize it's evolutionary. Number three is ask yourself, where's the evidence? Where is this coming from?
And if you're struggling, like we said last time, start with just observing, because that is the biggest and most important foundation to it all. Every time you do this, just be aware of the fact that you've done it. And that observation alone is going to then shift naturally towards you then asking the next two questions or doing the next two stages. So thank you, Elizabeth, by the way. So she just commented. Yeah, so it's all right, oh brother, sorry. But yeah, it's really, really good to kind of start with that observation, because, you know, remember the next two, and it will build from there. It will get easier, because once you start noticing it once or twice, making yourself aware of it, you'll fall into the habit, and it'll become habitual every time you say or do something where there's a potential thought distortion to go, I might be wrong here, and question your own kind of thoughts and see if you can put them on the right track.
Yeah.
So shall we go on to should statements? Should we?
Yeah, should we? I like it.
I'll let you kick off then. And
okay. All right. So should statements. Yes, a should statement is a mental filter or a thought distortion. I also think it's a mental filter, but it is a thought distortion, because if you find yourself saying, you know what? People should do this. People should know that I wasn't being hurtful, and people should not take what I say too personally. People should be more respectful, or even outside of people. I should have done better. I should have said that differently. Oh, I wish I should have X, Y, Z. Fill in the blank. Here's the problem with a should statement. It is subjective. It is not factual. Again, what are you basing the should statement on? And if you can't back up why you're saying a should statement, you shouldn't be saying it. Now I'm realizing I say should a lot.
yeah.
So think about that. If you're saying these statements a lot, where is it coming from, right? If you don't have the facts to back it up, then you have a problem. And it probably is just a thought distortion. Gav, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, I'm going to just mention the fact that, do you know what one of the biggest pet grievances is in the US? People not putting the shopping carts back.
Oh,
Crazy or what? It's got to the point that it's that out of hand in the US that people are actually going around with zip ties and going up to the vehicles where people have left their shopping carts and zip tying the shopping cart handle to the car handle, and you know, so the cart is stuck to the car. And there's even shopping cart wardens who are going around writing tickets if you don't put it back and sticking it.
Okay, where is this?
I can't remember. There's a video on it on YouTube.
What? Oh my God, that's nuts.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of the time you get people who say there seems to be like a for and against, like kind of, you know, people should put their shopping carts back, you know, because it's the decent thing to do. And then there's another group of people who say, well, no, because there's guys who are getting paid, who are employed to collect all the shopping carts. They'd be out of a job if we just took them all back. So I'm not telling you which team I'm on, by the way.
Okay, you don't have to.
Yeah, and again, there's some parts in the US where you get the quarter, you're going to put the quarter in to get the trolley out. And a lot of people deliberately leave the quarter in because there's a lot of, especially in Miami, I found there's people who will take the carts back and get the quarter out of it, you know, and at the end of the day got themselves a handy
Gotcha.
Yeah, so this is this kind of thing that they should put the shopping cart back, but should they? You know, this is something. Where did you get the thought? And every time you use the word "should," go back to the origin. Where did you get the belief that people should put the shopping cart back, or people should do X, Y, and Z? Because is it something that's written? Is it, you know, there's no highway code or law book that says you should put the shopping cart back? Is it something that's been told to you? Is it your own moral belief? Is it your own pet grievance because it's something that you do and other people don't? Where's the origin of the thought? And if you can find out, and if you can go back and say, why do I believe this? And is it actually true? And does it actually affect me that much? And then you can kind of work forwards from that then and say, yeah, you know, move on with away from the should to the kind of, do you know what? I don't care if they do. My life doesn't change any at all, whether they put it back or they don't. And I love the saying, be that focused on improving your own life that you don't care what other people are up to. And this is what a lot of problems are in the current day and age. So many people are focused on what other people are doing and how other people should be living their lives instead of concentrating on improving their own. So yeah, there you go, little Gavinism for you.
Oh, well, I think should statements, when we say them, come across as very accusatory. They can, at least. And I know a typical response to that is, you know, well, how do you have the authority to make that statement? How do you have the authority to tell somebody they should do X, Y, and Z? Do you have the authority? And sometimes maybe we truly think we do, but the question we have to ask ourselves is, do we? And do we have a right to tell people that they should do something or not do something? And so it's just really thinking about how it comes across to other people. Because if someone said, Lena, you should really think about, and it automatically makes you defensive. Like, really? Why? Why should I do that for you? So think about when you say that. And if you do say it, notice people's reactions to should statements, because it could be a little defensive. They could take offense to them.
Yeah, in fact, that will actually lead you nice and neatly into what you were going to talk about, won't it? Did you want to? You were going to talk about
what was I talking about?
Alternatives in communication.
Oh, actually, yeah. Okay. So really quick, guys, I am a word nerd. You know that. I love analyzing words that are coming out of people's mouths that they're writing. I love doing statement analysis, but I also love analyzing words and thinking about how I can use them more effectively. So I try to be cognizant of the words I choose to use when I'm asking questions, doing elicitation, even just having a normal conversation with people. So think about this. There are some times that we say things and we don't know, maybe we're unaware of how they're being perceived by other people. We may think, oh my gosh, I was respectful. I didn't mean to upset you. But what we say is taken a completely different way. And there's one that's very, very popular in this belief. And it's called the negative and positive language, when you tell people what they can't do versus what they can do. So if you find yourself in a meeting, in a feedback session, in any type of interview, any type of conversation, where you're starting to tell people what they can't do, be mindful of that, because that person may immediately take defense to that. Nobody likes to be told what they can't do. People don't mind being told what they can do. It's empowering. It sounds much better. It can help you build and strengthen relationships instead of destroy them. So if I looked at Gavin and said, Gavin, you can't make a decision about our topics until you check in with me, because I have to make sure I'm on board, right? Gavin may be like, well, are you kidding? Because this is the Gavin and Lena show. I can do that. But if I said, hey, Gav, you can make decisions on anything we talk about, check in with me first so I understand what, or so I'm better prepared. You can make a decision after you check in with me so I'm better prepared. And what Gavin hears is, I can make a decision, instead of you can't make a decision on what we're talking about. And so you have that negative language, which is the contraction, can't, versus that positive. And it still may be the same message. Gavin, After you check in with me, you can make any decision that you want. Gavin, you can't make a decision until you check in with me. Hear the difference? Right? I get defensive. I immediately want to get defensive as if to say, you're going to tell me what I can't do. I'm an adult. So thinking about just how to change your language from negative to positive can be huge. In fact, today I was taking notes. Try to avoid telling people that they can't do X, they should do Y, and instead using the terminology of what they can do. This is what's possible. This is what can be done versus Gavin, I want you to do, or Gavin, you can't do. Instead, it's Gav, you can fill in the blank. It just sounds so much better. It is well received, and it can save relationships, but be very mindful of how you speak, because even though it could be something that you never thought twice about, and you thought, I thought I sounded fine. I thought we had, good rapport going. I didn't know I was being accusatory. That's how people can take it. So just check in with your language. And when you can do that, you can ensure that what's coming out of your mouth, the other person is going to receive in a positive view, and they won't get defensive.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and you can use it with just about anything, no matter how big or small, no matter how complex or how simple.
Yeah.
You can't go above 75 on the freeway. You can go up to 75 on the freeway. Whichever. There's so many ways it can be used. In fact, it'd be nice to get some examples, probably from people, if there's anybody in the comments who have used anything similar in the past. But if there's anybody struggling with anything, I'm sure that if you contact Lena, she can reverse the question one way or another.
Don't should have me.
Yeah, I'll put you on the spot. Why not?
I love it. I'm checking in with the comments.
Oh, brilliant. So has everybody picked up something useful so far and enjoying what's happening? Let us know in the comments, or give us a thumbs up, give us a like or a heart, and let us know what you think so far. And we will carry on coming out with a little bit more for you very shortly.
I love feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest fear is the fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
It drives people insane. And it's that crystal ball gazing too, right?
Yeah.
Where we're predicting. So the mind doesn't like unknown. So we predict it. And then usually it's not positive. We put a negative spin. Usually if it's something challenging going on, we play the victim versus taking responsibility. So now you have fear of the unknown. My brain doesn't know it. I'm scared. Oh, I'll make it up. I'll crystal ball gaze and make it up. And usually it's to our benefit. And so if we could just stop those two things from happening and go experience the unknown, find out what it is we don't know, gather facts, then the fear of the unknown is gone. And then we won't be triggered to make up a story or crystal ball gaze.
And of course, we do like kind of default to the negative a lot of the time, when this fear of the unknown gets us to the point where we do default to the negative. But the two main questions you've got to ask yourself, number one is, is it going to make that much of a difference to your life? If it's like a job you've applied for example, and you're waiting to hear back, if the answer's no, is it really going to make that much of a difference to your life? Mm-hmm. Are there other jobs? Are there other places? Are there other opportunities? Of course there are. So, in the grand scheme of things, you don't really need to be that bothered about it. And if your fear goes right down the line of a rejection where some CEO is laughing at you with some really kind of insulting email, ask yourself again, what's the chances of that happening? Question number two, what are the chances of this fear actually manifesting? Because 9 times out of 10, it usually won't. If you've got a CEO of a company responding to you in person, it's going to be a professional email. They're not going to be laughing at you and telling you you're useless. It'll be polite and courteous. So, so if you just ask yourself those two things, and that in itself will help you say, okay, is life going to be that bad? No, it's not. Okay, there are other things I can do. So why am I so stressed over it? There's no need to be. And just take a deep breath and move on. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
Right. Well, we have one more to cover, and that is personalization. Making something personal, taking it personally when you have nothing to do with it or no control over it. And so an example is if, and I'll give a real world example. I coach people, one-on-one coaching, and I do some group coaching as well, mentoring really, because I'm training them in techniques. And in one particular group, I had recommended somebody to one of my students to go to for some other type of coaching. And the response of that student was, oh, no, I don't get along with that person. That person is definitely not somebody I would seek coaching from. And I instantly felt bad and wanted to fix the situation. And I thought, wait a minute, it's not my fault that my student doesn't like my recommendation. That's just her preference, and she's okay. And it's fine for her to feel that way. But it was that trigger, like, oh, shoot, I did something wrong, right? Because I recommended someone she didn't like, and now I have to fix it. And I was like, I don't have to fix anything, because I believe both of these two individuals are great. And so I just and instantly in that moment, I let it go. I'm not taking it personally. It's not my fault that that response happened. I did something that I believed in that could be beneficial and helpful, just because that person said, oh no, not the person for me. Fine, that's great. Okay. And then you just move on. But there was a little tinge there that I felt almost guilty for recommending this other person, as someone that she could go to. And I was like, why would I feel guilty for recommending a person who I think is brilliant? And so I just let it go. So trying not to take things too personally that you have no control over. You don't have control over how organizations do their business. You don't have control over the market crashing. You don't have control over COVID and pandemics, right? So if something happened as a result of something you have no control over, acknowledge it, listen to it, and say, okay, let it go.
Love it. Quick hello to Grant. He's just joined us, so
Hi,
thank you
Grant.
for sharing, Grant. So yeah, we've been going through thought distortions. We've just got to number 5 of 5, so that was brilliant. We're going to move on a little bit to memory and misinformation and that kind of thing, which is a really fun area.
Yeah. All right. This is Gavin's very excited to this, so I'm going to let you kick this off. This is some good stuff.
Wow. Well, I love studying this in the psychology area of this. With for anybody who's heard of the Loftus and Palmer experiments, or knows of Elizabeth Loftus, who does the memory implantations, there are some absolutely fantastic, well worth looking up. Oh yeah. I thought somebody had mentioned it on the comments. So what they did, they found out they can implant memories in people really, really easily. It's so simple. And we did go through some of the processes. I'm not going to go into them all tonight, but it's very, very simple and very easy to implant a false memory into a person. Now, it sounds very manipulative and it sounds very cruel, but you can look at the idea of how it can be beneficial. So, for example, they found when they used a particular method of mentioning, say, a food, and they say, oh, you had a really bad experience with this particular food as a child. Let's say toffee. You choked on it, you nearly died, or you had a really bad reaction to it, and you had to go to the doctor, you were really sick. Then later on down the line, they take them to a buffet or whatever else, and this person is avoiding toffee all over the place, and in every area of their life. Whereas they may have enjoyed it before, they now don't touch it or eat a lot less of it. And the same happens, by the way, on the inverse side of that. If you implant a warm, fuzzy memory, which is surrounded by a healthy food like asparagus or something like that, for example, you will find that the person wants to eat that more and has a desire for that more healthy food. So, which very, very useful, especially if you have children, especially if you've got children that you're struggling with them and their diet, or them eating too much of a particular thing, or you want them to eat more healthily. You can use these kind of tactics with a child to get them to eat in a better way. I know it can be argued that there is an ethical boundary here, and I know that people are going to say, you shouldn't lie to kids. Yeah, well, what about the Easter Bunny? What about Santa Claus? What about all the other things that we tell our children, the Tooth Fairy and so on and so forth? If there is a good intention behind it, then I believe that implanting a memory in a kid for them to eat healthier, live healthier, is obviously a lot better than that having an unhealthy or obese child or somebody who's at risk of serious health issues. So this is just something that I thought I'd bring up. And there are other cases where they've done experiments where they've said, well, look, this is not a stressful environment. Elizabeth Loftus did an experiment where they said they convinced people, they showed them a video of an accident, and it was with a stop sign, and then afterwards they said it was a yield sign, or implied it was a yield sign, and people were saying it was a yield sign. Now, when it was later on kind of discussed, they said, well, that's not not going to be the case in a really stressful situation, until they did a study on the US military, and the soldiers were going through really, really hardcore interrogations. And what they had to do, they had to identify the interrogator at the end of the interrogation. And they found that if they were fed the right kind of suggested information, that they completely misidentified the interrogator. This is somebody who's got up close and personal to them and interrogated them to people who are not even remotely similar. So you could have like a largish guy with a beard who's done the interrogation. Then it's been later on down the line, they've asked them the question, and it's a skinhead without a beard who's skinny, and they've said, yep, that's the one, just by giving that kind of feeding that false information to them. So and the implication of it. So funnily enough, in Scotland, I believe that somebody might be able to check this out for me and let me know whether it's true. I know that there are one or two people that may be able to check this for definite. But in Scotland, they will not let a witness testify in front of another witness because of the concerns that it would pollute the second witness. I don't know whether it's the same in the US, but it's been like that for hundreds of years. So you don't have one room full of witnesses and one giving a test straight after the other. So because it's very, very, very easy to pollute memories, as Elizabeth Loftus found out in the video with the car accidents, where they showed the videos. Really, really brilliant. One of my favorites. And just by using different words, we're able to influence the results of people's account of what happened. So if they, for example, said, what speed do you think the vehicles were going when they bumped into each other? Then they were saying a lot less, about 21, 23 mile an hour. If they said, what speed were the vehicles going when they smashed into each other? They put the speed right up to like 40 something, 50 something mile an hour. Don't quote me on the figures, not 100% sure. And they also found that when they said similar kind of things, when the two vehicles collided, was there any smashed glass? And a lot of the time the answer was no. Again, when they used the word smashed, they replaced it with smashed. The psychological trigger of smash is there, and you think, well, it's got to be smashed glass. So again, they recalled seeing smashed glass when there wasn't actually any. So,
sorry, my dog just busted through my door.
Oh, bless. So it's really, really good. So you can find that by questioning somebody in a leading way, you can seriously influence their version of accounts. Elizabeth Loftus also did what was known as, I know I've told this to you before, Lena, the Lost in the Mall experiment, where they implanted false memories in grown adults by telling them as a child they were lost in the mall and an old man found them. And these people then went on to believe later on in life that they had been lost in the mall as a child. And not only did they believe it, but they even started adding versions to their own about they could describe the old man that found them and what he was wearing, and even the smells of tobacco and all sorts of things. So very, very vivid false memories that had become very real to the subject. They later went on to do a nearly drowned as a kid experiment in Tennessee, and attacked by a vicious animal in Canada, and in Italy, they said as a child you witnessed demonic possession. So, and in all cases, a lot of the time they're very, very successful with a very small percent of people not buying into the implanted memory. The majority of the time it works.
Okay, so if you're planting a false memory in me that I witnessed a demonic possession as a child, how does that affect me as an adult?
Ooh, I don't know. Should we try it?
Oh my God. You almost had me. I'm like, no. No, thank you.
I really don't know, but it's very, very, there's a lot
I
of
guess people would
debate
start to just believe and talk about it, that
on.
they had this experience.
Yeah, and the more it grows, the better. Because when you access a memory, you're not actually the memory doesn't work the way most people think it does. We've got procedural memory and episodic memory. Now, procedural memory are things like riding a bike, driving a car, playing a piano. These are all things that you will do: walking, talking, breathing. That wouldn't need to be accessed as a memory. You just do them naturally. Now, your episodic memory is something that is of an event that happened earlier on in your life. Now, when you retrieve that memory, it doesn't work like a video being played back. What happens is when it's encoded, it encodes the majority of the data. You know, a crowd in the background, a person in a red coat, and a sparkler. Now, when you go to reaccess that memory, you're aware there's a crowd, but you can't take the specifics from each person in the crowd. But if you are told, well, there was actually a person in the crowd who had a Union Jack coat on, and over the other side, coincidentally, there was somebody in a Stars and Stripes coat on exactly the same position, your memory will start to fill in those gaps for you. So the next time you go back and retrieve that memory, those two people in those two coats will be there. Every time you reaccess a memory, you're not actually accessing the original memory, you're actually accessing the last time you remembered it. So it changes every single time you recall a memory. This is why when you go back to like a school you haven't been, like an elementary school you haven't been to for many, many years, and you go, oh, I know exactly what it's like, and you get there, it's completely different. It hasn't changed, but in your mind, oh wow, this just it seems smaller and this seems different and the layout is, it hasn't changed. It's your memory that's been polluted over years of kind of what's the word for it? Storage decay. That's the official term, storage decay. So yeah, that's so memories are very kind of pliable in very, very, very many ways. So really useful.
So how about this, Gab? I'm suggesting not next Thursday, but the following. So, we do this every other Thursday. So the next time we're live on Facebook, how about we talk about those two memories? I call it episodic and semantic, but procedural, same thing. Yep. Two memories and lying.
Ooh, yeah.
And two memories and actually how you have to use memory to lie. So, yeah, I think that might be a good, so we can talk, and there goes my dog, sorry. But we could talk about lying and where it comes from, how it, all that kind of stuff. Really quick though, because I didn't want to forget this. Guys, I'm going to post a link to a video. It's made by high schoolers, but it's all on the misinformation effect. And it mentions Karen Loftus' experiment. It is kind of funny because it's high school students, but it's brilliant and it's so easy to understand. It's going to mention that experiment that Gavin talked about with the stop sign and the yield sign and the car crashing. And in that experiment, what Gavin said, she actually asked 3 groups of people. They watched that same car accident. Everybody saw the same video. And she said, the first group, she said, describe how the cars bumped. The second group described to me how the cars collided. And the third group described to me how they crashed. Bump, collide, crash. The bump, minor fender bender. Nobody's hurt, nothing wrong with the cars. The crash, you would have thought the cars were totaled, people going off to the hospital. They watched the same video. Nothing was different. But those words they twisted our memory, right? It affected our memory to be more harsh, less harsh. This can happen on a day-to-day basis. You guys can fall victim to the misinformation effect. It is so easy. I fell victim to it. And I'm going to tell you how. My husband and I are big sailors. We had a 31 Hunter and we upgraded to a 46-foot Jeanneau. We take our friends out on the weekends, right? It's a party boat. We want you guys to have fun. We supply you with cocktails and food. And so we have these core set of friends that come out with us every week or every weekend. Well, we got our new boat. We were getting ready to go sailing, and I was sending out the text to our usual crew. And I said, hey, how about I invite our friends Summer and Steph to come along? And Eli said, oh yeah, it'd be great. And I said, oh, actually, they haven't even been on the new boat yet. They get to see the new boat as well. And my husband said, oh no, they saw the new boat. And I was like, no. They've only been on the old boat. He said, babe, they've been on the new boat. And I'm like, no, they haven't. We literally went, yes, they have. No, they haven't. Yes, they have. No, they haven't, for about 5 minutes. And I'm like, all right, tell me when they came on the new boat. He told me. He painted the day. He told me who else was on the boat. He told me what they brought. And I'm listening going, oh my, am I losing my mind? Did they come on the new boat? And I have I don't remember. And so I agreed. I said, yeah, I guess I'm wrong. And so I had texts, I sent them to text to invite them. And I'm thinking, why can't I remember chunks of that day? Why is it that just chunks of information are gone? I can fill in, I can imagine them on the boat, where they sat, who else was there, where we went. But why am I missing critical information, like when they first came on, what they brought, what they were wearing, how long they stayed? I'm like, where did this information go? Well, no sooner am I questioning my memory that I get a text from Summer. And she's like, we'd love to go. Thank you so much for inviting us. Oh, and by the way, we can't wait to see your new boat. And I was like, you gotta be kidding. I'm like, what? So you guys haven't been on the new boat? She's like, no, we haven't even seen it yet. And I was like, ah. So I went to my husband. I'm like, you just made me believe something that wasn't true. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, they've never been on the boat. And I believed you. He's like, oh well. And I'm like, you just caught, like, because seriously, I doubted my own memory trace, and I started creating a new one to make sense with the scenario of, yes, Lena, absolutely, they've been on, you just don't remember. So I created this memory to make sense of what I was being told, and it was all wrong. Now, when you take this into Gavin and I's line of work in our previous lives, this could be huge, because we're out to collect very reliable, objective information to stop attacks, to protect lives. And if we biased a question by using bumped, collide, crash, if we use too many adjectives, if I said, you know what, maybe you didn't remember because you were under the influence of drugs and alcohol, but you had to have seen this happen. There's no way. So why don't you think a little harder and tell me about that? And then all of a sudden this person is like, yeah, she's right. I had to have seen it. And I was drunk that night. So they make up this story, and now they become my prime witness when they were never even there. It just causes so much harm in a lot of situations. So be aware that it is a true thing, and it can happen to you. I teach this stuff, and it happened to me. But I just want to let you guys know, I am going to post a video in our Facebook group that you can watch. And I think it'll be really interesting. So I'm so glad you brought this up.
Yeah, no, and of course, imagine how much more powerful that would have been if your friends had have also backed up what your husband said. If everybody was in on it, if they had turned around and said, yeah, we were here, and and they just said, remember, we were wearing the Hawaiian shirt and the red shorts, and we had champagne that day, and put things in there, you go, oh yeah, I remember. Especially if they mix it with other things they've done last time they were on the boat. So last time you had, say, champagne and strawberries, and they go, remember we had the champagne and strawberries? And you go, well, I remember the champagne and strawberries. So if that bit's true, then this bit's got to be true. So if you can really strengthen a false memory with more people that are in on it, more details that are given that are true from a different or similar event, and the blanks filled in for you by the people, especially if they were wearing at some point the clothes that they were talking about, or an event happened and they say it was at that particular time. So Grant has just said memory is a jigsaw puzzle. When you reconstruct it, the parts don't necessarily fit. So yeah, thanks for that, Grant. So and give us a yes if you would like us to go into how much more useful this will be when it comes to kind of lies and false memories, and because you can have two people telling two stories who both believe they're telling the truth.
Oh yeah.
So again, just give us a thumbs up or say yes in the comments if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about this. We've got some great examples. I know I have. We can bring back next week.
Oh yeah. And the misinformation effect can go right to false confessions, and that's bad. Very bad. And now even take it to your kids, right? So say your
Thanks,
child
Brent.
comes.
I was just saying thank you to Brent. Giving us support. I've just seen you here for the first time.
If you take it to, you know, your family life and your kid comes home from school and they got expelled because of whatever, maybe the teacher saw pot falling out of their bag, right? And your child is saying, it wasn't mine, I don't know where it came from, blah, 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 blah. If you start saying as a parent, a hypothetical, well, you know, first of all, I want you to know you can trust me. I'm your parent, but listen, we're going to work through this and you have to feel safe, which I'm an advocate for. But if you start creating a hypothetical story, well, what if, Johnny, that you put the pot in your bag and then you just forgot about it and it's been there for a while and you just can't remember because of whatever happened. And then you start going and paint this scene. And all of a sudden, Johnny, who bows to authority figures, says, oh my gosh, what if I don't? Maybe he doesn't have the confidence to say, no, mom, dad, that's not what happened. I remember what happened. And then if you don't have that and they start to believe your hypothetical situation, that's bad because now they can admit to something they didn't do or flip it around, not admit to something they did. So it doesn't mean, you know, even though Gavin and I have used this stuff in interrogations and interviews, this stuff happens every single day in our conversations with our friends and our family members and colleagues. So it's just being aware of what can happen and knowing how to stop it or prevent it.
Yeah, or being, you know, observing it and stop it happening to yourself. And it will happen to everybody in some ways. But if you can kind of regulate it and be aware of it, then we'll show you some fantastic methods and techniques of doing it. So thank you to everybody who's commented and said yes. So I'm hoping you'll enjoy the. So yeah, I said next week, but it's next fortnight. So yes. For everybody watching, so next week we will be back on Clubhouse. And then the following week, we will be back here on Facebook again.
Yeah. And we'll be talking about episodic and semantic memory or procedural memory. That's what you call it, Gav?
Yeah, procedural memory.
Procedural. Yeah. We'll also talk about long-term short memory. We'll talk about how lies are created from one of those memories. And we'll also talk about the art of creating a lie, because liars forget to do a couple of things, 4 critical things, which is why Gavin and I could spot a lie like that with a couple of techniques. But yeah, when liars create a lie from one of those memories, and we'll tell you what it is in a fortnight, they forget to do 4 things, and those 4 things will immediately expose your lie.
Yeah, this will be fun.
So much fun.
So, so just definitely join us here. We'll give you some really good stuff, and we'll talk about brain clutter, which is another little area that I'd like to go into very briefly and help a few people out there. And we'll even go through the reasons why so many people stand there with the fridge door open, questioning their life decisions. You ever have that thing where you walk from one room to another and you go, what did I come in here for?
Oh, Gav, I did it.
Yeah.
Should I admit to this? Because I did it like 4 times.
Yeah, I still do it now, even though.
Okay, all right.
But yeah,
I run downstairs and I'm like, oh, I must have came down for no reason, which is why would I do that? I have no idea. So I run upstairs and I'm like, oh, I remember. I run downstairs. And I run upstairs. I'm like, oh.
That's it. We will cover exactly why that happens and how to avoid it, and why when you go back upstairs again, you remember what it was that you ran downstairs for. So we will help you out, and we will get you with some really juicy information next week to stop you standing staring at the fridge wondering why you're there, and with the refrigerator door open 2 in the morning. What am I doing again? So come and join us, and a big thank you to everybody. Please give us a love heart or a like before you go to say show your support, and thank you once again to everyone. I can't mention everybody's name because it will go on for a long time. So you all know who you are. You're all great crowd.
I do have one thing to mention, Tribe. On my website, the Congruency Group, you will now see Gavin on as a team member. Yeah. So, but if you go on and register or log in and register as a site member, all of these weekly videos will be there for you to watch again, only for you here in the Facebook, and only for people who sign on and create, or I don't even know what you call it. If you become a member of the website, then you can see them as many times as you want. So I just wanted to put that out there. You can now see the replays of these or download the video if you go to my website.
Fantastic. I've just seen a few thumbs up, so thank you everybody. Much appreciated the support.
Thank
And
you.
check out the website. What is the actual website address for people?
It is thecongruencygroup.com. And I'll put it in chat too.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So that's Lena's website. You can see mine at gavinstone.us, and we are both on all the major social media networks or platforms or whatever they call them these days. Brilliant.
All right,
then.
guys. Listen, as always, be safe, take care, and thank you so much for being here with us. All right.
Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks. Bye.